Hey guys, welcome to another weekly focus. I hope you all had a good trading week. So this week was the US election week, and I hope you guys had like some good opportunities in the market. So I'm going to do a quick trade recap to show you guys what I was looking at this week and some of the trades I took. So let's start with NAS100. I had two trades I took this week. So I'm going to start with NAS100 right here, and I went in on the buy. So I had this position in on November 3rd. If you watch my previous video, the one I did about trading during the US election, it's the same trade. So I'm just showing you guys now like the trade and a recap thing here. So I went in on the buys here on NAS100, and the intention was just to take prices, say, to the upside and take out highs like this. If you look at what NAS100 is doing currently, the price is still moving to the upside. So we actually got like to this area and like close my trade, but price is still moving to the upside. So that's something to pay attention to. So when you look at this, I closed this at say plus 3.6%. so NAS100, I was in a drawdown on my account, so this trade alone just brought me back to like break even and stuff like that. So I had another position on the S&P500, a similar thing. If you know the way I trade, if I have a setup on the S&P, it's always like a guarantee you'll see another setup on NAS100 as well. So I went in on the buys on the S&P right here, and my intention again was just to take out areas like this, and currently price is still moving to the upside. So that's another pair to pay attention to. And let's see, so those were the two trades I went in on, and I'll show you. Let me see. Yeah, those are the two trades I went in on. All right, so let's come back to the chart right here. And so what we're looking at the DXY, and it's the first pair I always do my analysis on. If you've known how I do my analysis, or if you've followed my analysis for some time now, you know I always start with the DXY. The highest time frame I look at is the daily time frame. So I have 4 time frames here, and before we look at all these time frames, I just want to point your attention to something. Look at what's happening on the daily time frame. Price is moving to the upside. See what's happening on the 8-hour time frame. Price is moving to the upside. And we'll look at the 4-hour time frame, but you see this move, there's a pullback, price is moving to the upside. And when you look at it on the hourly, we've had this massive push to the upside, we had a pullback, and price just seems to be moving to the upside. So this is very important, because just having something like this, or an understanding from multiple time frames, it can really help you. And I like saying it's a game changer, because if you understand what price is doing on multiple time frames, then it makes your analysis way more easier for you. All right, so let's start on the daily time frame. So we'll take one time frame at a time. So the daily time frame has not really changed, and so the analysis or the forecasting for today, I'm not really gonna waste so much time, because everything just is still looking the same. So we're still sat in this massive consolidation right here, and price moved, pullback, moved, pullback. There's an impulse, there's a pullback. So currently we're expecting prices to go all the way to this psychological area of 106. So there's a psychological level here of 106, and that's the area I'm expecting prices to get to. So if these buyers are still interested in this move, we've had this impulsive move, there is a pullback, and so we're expecting prices to go all the way to 106. So if I expand this on the daily time frame, so what we're looking at currently, so right now we've had an impulsive move, we had a pullback, and we had another impulsive move. So price is going to respect this structure until it gets violated. So if you ask me, long-term move on the DXY, it has to be taking prices to the upside, because price is showing you already. So you have an impulsive move, you have a pullback, and you have another impulsive move. So within this impulse and pullback like this, you should also respect prices to give you certain minor structures within it. But when you look at it from the daily time frame, so just look at this from the daily time frame, it's very easy. There's an impulse here, price rejected at this area, it came back, there's a move here, there's a rejection, there's a push back, there's a move, there's a rejection as well, there's a push down, and currently we're expecting prices to go to the upside. So this is going to stay like this unless something really happens on the dollar to see the DXY drop into the downside. So quick question, yeah, is there a psychological level, or are there psychological levels we can play with? And the answer is yes. We had a psychological level here of 104. Price went through this area. We have another psychological area here of 105. So price is currently trading between 104 and 105. So how do you position yourself when looking at the DXY currently? So there's just two things you can do. So the first thing is ask yourself the question, if the DXY has to continue moving to say 106, how is the DXY going to move to an area like this? So in trying to answer this question, I'm just going to zoom in on this. So in trying to answer this question, because you've seen this impulse correction, you're expecting this impulse like this. So if the DXY has to move all the way to 106, how is it going to move to 106? Now that's something I don't know, because price can give you complex moves. So you can see something like this on the move to the upside, or you can see price just hovering around this psychological area of 105, and you see price moving all the way to 106. But the most important thing is having an understanding as to what these big guys are trying to do. So going off of what I see like currently on the DXY, I know we're currently in a range, and if we're in a range, so price has delivered to this area right here. So the next thing is for a movement to 106. So I have this at the back of my mind already, and it makes my analysis easy. So all I have to do is look at the structure price is putting in as it's moving some lower time frames. So impulse, pullback, and now we're expecting another impulsive move. So there's a psychological level here of 105. I mentioned this already. There's a psychological area level here of 105. So this level could cause prices to come back. So you could see a pullback to an area like this, where price is delivering, say, to this psychological level of 104, and there's a trend line here. So this right here is something to pay attention to if you see prices pulling back. So that could be a possibility for a pullback to come in, and you see prices moving all the way to 106. It's a possibility, but it's not certain. So price can do what it really wants to do. It's going to deliver the way it wants to, but we're just looking at the possibilities. And that's why the forecast is very important, because when you do the market focus thing and price shows you something else, it's easy for you to switch your bias and start looking at other structures or other plays, because you had an underlying structure or an underlying focus thing you had already. So let's step down, say, to the 8-hour time frame, and we'll look at its psychological level of 105. We'll look at the level of 104. We'll look at the trend line as well and just try to make sense of what's happening. So we're currently on the 8-hour time frame. So the structure remains the same. Everything you see here is just an impulse. Everything here is just a pullback. And after this pullback, price gave us this impulsive move to the upside. And currently we're sitting at 105. So there's two things that can happen around a psychological level. If price comes to a psychological level like 105, so this area, this is what we're looking at right here. If price goes through 105, you should expect a pullback to have a test of 105 and a move to the upside. And you can have multiple, like you can have this area tested multiple times, and you see the move going up to 106. So currently, while looking at this is my thought process around this area of 105. If price stays above 105, then we could see a push to the upside, a slight pullback, and a continuation to 106. If price finds it difficult to stay above 105, this could be an indication that these sellers are still trying to step in. And if the sellers are trying to step in, we could see prices dropping below 105, and you see, say, like this minor pullback to like 105 just to test this psychological level right here, and you get a drop to an area like 104. So this is what I'm looking at. And like, if you had to ask me, two possibilities for the DXY. Long-term move for the DXY first is to see prices going all the way to 106. Now within this move, so long-term for me, I need to see prices going all the way to 106. That's a long-term move on the DXY. So once I have this long-term move on the DXY, I need to look for, say, temporal moves and just understanding how price is going to deliver to 106, because we understand already we're currently trading within the range. So now we'll start around 105. If price stays above 105, you can see a push, you get a pullback, a delivery to 106. If price comes back, say below 105, something like this, then you can see a test of an area like this, and you see prices dropping all the way to 104, where there's a psychological level as well, and you have a trend line here. So this is very powerful, and I've been doing this analysis, so this is a principle I use every time. I look for a psychological level and I look for a trend line. I have a video on psychological levels. If you're coming here new and you just want to watch it, check the videos on psychological levels, and I have another video on trend lines. So them two videos is very powerful, and everything you look at, so the focus for me is just looking at trend lines, looking at psychological levels, and trying to understand what price is doing. So you might do it differently, but I'm just showing you what I do. So let's step down to the 4-hour time frame and see. So I'm going to zoom in on this area right here, and it's very easy once you start looking at it this way. So same thing, price went through 104, tested 105. So if these buyers are really interested, you should see price staying above 105. You get a test and you see price delivering to like 106. Now we're currently seeing some kind of a rejection around 105. So this already can tell you we had sellers stepping in here, we had prices, also we had sellers coming in here, and they took prices to an area like this. So there's a high possibility if these sellers are still interested and they're reacting from this area of 105, then you could see prices moving all the way to like 104, and there's a trend line here. So the same thing we've been looking at from the daily time frame is the same thing I'm looking at on the 8-hour time frame, and it's the same thing I'm looking at on the 4-hour time frame. So if this happens, then you could expect prices again to move to 106. I'll keep looking at this structure like this on, say, the 8-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frame, the hourly, and the daily, unless something changes. So the only time my long-term buyers on the DXY is going to switch from buys to sells is if this trend line on the daily time frame, this trend line, gets violated. So once this trend line gets violated, it's price telling me just pause a little bit, pause with the buys, like the long-term buyers on the DXY, pause a little bit, because price could pull back and even give you a complex pullback, and then you see price moving again to the upside. So once the major trend line gets violated, it's always a pause for me, because price might be trying to deliver to a higher time frame trend line, or price might just be reversing to give you a new structure to work with. So it's always very important to look at price and like look at the details, like everything that's happening. So that's it on the 4-hour time frame, and we can look at the hourly. So the hourly time frame for me is mostly for like once I'm executing my trades, I look at the hourly time frame. So when you look at this right now, so the same thing we've been looking at. So we had the impulse, we had sellers coming here and they took prices all the way to the downside. So we had buyers attempting again, and we might see sellers attempting. So currently price is sitting above this area here of, say, 105 and this psychological level. Now this is very critical. So while you're looking at an area like 105, the movement that happens at an area like this is very critical, trust me, because if this price moves to the downside and gives you this inability for buyers to take prices to the upside, you could see a test of this, and this is going to give you the drop. If this happens, then trust me, it makes it very easy for you to analyze US30, NAS100, and the S&P. You could see massive, not like massive moves, but you could see, I'll show you those other pairs, but you should already expect buys on those pairs. So if, however, price stays above 105 and we know we're headed to like 106, then you could expect pullbacks on those other pairs, and that's how it's very easy for you to use the DXY to your advantage. It's something I've been using for a long time. It's something I've taught my friends as well to use. So pay attention to this area of 105. Just pay attention and watch what price is doing around this psychological level. If it stays above this area, price is going to move to the upside. Then we can step down, or we can move to other pairs and look for tradable opportunities. So that's it on the DXY, and I'm just gonna stick, say, let's look at the daily, and I'm just gonna put this right here. So long-term move for me on the DXY is to see prices going all the way to 106. Short term or temporarily, you could see prices coming back to an area like this and even testing this trend, this psychological level of 104, and you see prices moving all the way to 106. Now if this area, so you look at, I have this trend line right here. If this trend line gets violated, you could see something like this and then move to the downside. So those are all possibilities, but currently I'm just going to stick with the long-term move, price going all the way to 106, temporal move, price pulling back to an area like this, delivering, so you can see prices going to the upside. Or you see price staying above an area like this, testing this area, and you see price moving all the way to 106. So that's it for me on the DXY. Now let's use this analysis on the DXY and look at other pairs. So if I clean this, and let's just see what we have on other pairs. The first pair is like, say, US30, and this is the daily time frame on US30 as well. So I'm just going to bring this right here so you can see. Alright guys, so I showed you guys already how to draw trend lines and stuff like that, and it's not the usual way you see in textbooks and the way people teach it. So because I showed you guys already how to draw the trend lines and everything, now we can stick with this trend line. So I'm not going to move this trend line from here. This is my trend line on US30 on the daily time frame. So what you see right here, this is the trend line I'm working with. So I know there's minor structures in here, there's minor trends and all of this. That's just noise for me. So let's go with the swing. So this was our swing right here. We had price pulling back, this was our pivot, and currently we've seen price making another massive move to the upside. So we should expect prices to pull back to this daily trend line, and then you see another attempt from the buyers to take prices to the upside. So once you have this already in mind, you know it's going to take a very long time for this to happen. So for you to see price pulling back on US30 like this, that's actually like a crash in the market. So, and this is going to be very interesting, but eventually it's going to happen. Eventually you will see US30 crashing to the downside. It's going to happen. So all you have to do is wait. So currently I'm going to clean this. So right now we have this swing on the daily time frame. So because it's quite difficult for you to have these sales coming in like this and for you to trade this, because it's like a massive move thing in it. So all you have to do is step down to lower time frames, say the 8-hour time frame, and look for trades or for trends you can work with. So I'll take this off and let's just zoom in on this. So long-term move on US30. When I say long-term on US30, I mean like long-term thing in it. So you have this swing right here. You should wait for this to come back and you take prices to the upside. This is gonna take time, and I understand as well, but just preparing yourself makes it very easy. So we can talk about this for months and months and months and months, and eventually you'll see price coming to the downside. So let's clean this and step down to the 8-hour time frame. So on the 8-hour time frame, I have this trend line, and I showed you guys this trend line already. I showed you guys last week, and we had this in mind. So I told you, if price comes to an area like this, look for the setup within this area. So I have a setup I look for, and I didn't see the setup on US30, but I saw the setup on NAS on the S&P, and that's why I tell you guys, I'm not trading off of every trend line and psychological level, because this looks like a perfect trade. There's everything that you're looking for right here. There's a trend line, there's a psychological level, but I didn't see the setup, and you see price just took off to the upside. So I'm not just trading when price comes to an area like this. I'm looking for the setup for us to take the buys. So now we understand this already. We have a trend line we're working with on the 8-hour time frame, and I showed you guys how to draw this trend line thing. Yeah, so if you look at this, you have the swing points have been determined already. So every time price pulls back to this trend line, so you need to understand how to draw the trend line first. Once you understand how to draw the trend line, you can pick these pivot points. So once you have the first pivot point, every other thing, so once price starts pulling back to an area like this, this is still a pivot point. So at some point on the 8-hour time frame, I'm expecting prices to sell to this pivot point, and then we'll look for buys again. So that's it on the 8-hour time frame. So all you have right here is a swing, there's a pullback, there's a massive move, and you should wait for the pullback, and you take prices again to the upside. So while waiting for these prices to pull back, you can look at the levels we have right now. So we have 43,000, we have 44,000. So while waiting for these pullbacks, this is what you can do. If price stays above 44,000, so above the psychological area or the psychological level, we could see prices going all the way to 45,000, which is, I think, an area around here. So you could see price moving to an area like this. So it's just two things you can do once you're doing the market focus. You're looking at the trend line, you're looking at the psychological level. So make it very easy and don't complicate your analysis. So you know there's a possibility this price can pull back to an area like this. There's 43,000 and there's a pivot point around this area. So you can see price coming back, consolidating, doing this thing, and then you see the takeoff around here. So all of this is just like possibilities, but right now price is moving to the upside. There is nothing I can do as of now, so I have to wait and look at lower time frames just to see what's happening. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. So same thing, price is currently playing above 44,000. So this area right here, if price stays above 44,000, you could see price moving to the upside. How do you gauge something like this? You see this impulse right here, you see this consolidation, and you see price continuing its move like this. So you could see a pullback and something like this. So those are all possibilities. Now if price pulls back, let's say below 44,000, so an area like this, then you can expect, let's say, a test of this psychological level right here, or something close to a test like that, and you see price moving all the way to 43,000. Now you have to combine this with, say, the trend line from higher time frames just to give you an understanding of what price is trying to do. And I showed you guys already. So there's a trend line thing on the 8-hour time frame, so you need to pay attention to what's happening here. And while you're looking at this, pay attention to what's happening on the DXY, because if this guy continues his move to the upside, you should expect those sales to come in. So something like US30, you might see this and then price delivering to lower time frames. So that's on the 4-hour time frame. And let's look at this on the hourly. It's just a lot of noise on the hourly. So right now I'll stick to, like, say, the 8-hour time frame. So if you had to ask me what's the best time frame to look at US30, like right now and say into next week, it has to be the 8-hour time frame. So I'll show you something on the daily, and this is the reason why I'm not using the daily time frame, because I mentioned this already. It's going to take a long time for this price to pull back, and so while price is trying to pull back, there is something we can work with on lower time frames. So the 8-hour time frame for me is the best time frame currently to look at US30. So here's a play I'm expecting on US30. So I just want to see how price reacts around an area like this. If we see price pulling back down, you could see this move, giving you possibilities to take prices again to the upside. So all I have to do right now is sit on my hands. I'm not going to force any trades on US30. I know what price might do. There is no certainty. I know what price might do. So I'm just going to sit and wait. So this is what I'm looking for. There's this impulse. I'm expecting prices to pull back, give me some structures within this area. So just show me this consolidation thing around here and we can buy again. So that's what I'm expecting. So if price does something like that, then I'll look for a trading opportunity. I'll look for my setup around that area. So that's it for US30. So the 8-hour time frame for me, that's what I'm paying attention to on US30. I just want to see this selling or these pullbacks coming in, then we can take prices again to the upside. Now the pullbacks could come in, so you might see pullbacks coming in and you see a violation of this trend line right here, and this could be an indication that price is trying to sell. So that again is going to take time, but if you're looking for something to pay attention to, if you're looking for a structure to watch, say next week, look at this structure right here: impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. So that's what I'm looking for, that's what I'm anticipating. So I'm just going to sit on my hands, wait and see what price is going to do. Alright guys, so now let's move on to NAS100. So the daily time frame again on NAS100, the same trend line we had, and this is the same trend line I had last week. This is the same trend line we'll be looking at for the upcoming weeks. And it's very easy now because I've shown you guys how to look at the trend lines again. So let's look at a swing. So I'm just going to start with an area like this. Here is a swing, here is a pullback thing, so price is moving to the upside. So the first question is, what is price trying to do on the daily time frame? Price is moving to the upside. You can see it's making higher highs and higher lows. So we're expecting, say, on the daily time frame, say at one point price has to pull back and for us to see prices moving to the upside. So that's a possibility. So currently it's difficult for you to play with this structure on the daily time frame. There's a psychological level there and stuff like that. So what you can do is move down to lower time frame. So the 8-hour time frame is the next time frame for me. So right here on the 8-hour time frame, and I think I took out the trend line on, let's see, so I'll put a trend line right here. So on the 8-hour time frame, let's see, I think this area right here. So let's step down to the 8-hour time frame. Let's put this. Yep. All right, cool. So on the 8-hour time frame, so this is what I'm looking at on NAS100 on the 8-hour time frame, a structure like this. All right, cool. So we had this massive move, we had this consolidation thing, and I think I showed you guys already this trade because I took this buys on NAS100. There's a psychological level, there's a trend line thing, so price is moving to the upside. So while you're looking at this on the 8-hour time frame, similar move to what we're looking at on US30, we've had this impulsive move, we've had price reacting from an area like this. You should expect prices to pull back to an area like this so you can take the buys again to the upside. So this is the structure I'm looking at, so I'm waiting for these pullbacks to come in. So I don't think I'll be taking any trades on, I won't be taking any trades on NAS100 right now, because there's a possibility for these pullbacks to come in. So you have this impulse right here, there's a psychological level here of 21,000. If price pulls back to this area and it finds it difficult to go through this area, then price is most likely going to move, say, to 22,000. But if we see prices coming back and you see, let's say, the seller stepping in impulsively, you could see prices staying below 21,000. You get a test and you see price moving again to the downside. So for me, this is like what I'm really expecting. But price can do like different things, so it just makes it difficult at the time. But this is what I'm expecting. I just want to see price pulling back to an area like this so we can take those buys. And if price stays above 21,000, there's still a possibility for buyers to come in. I might be a little bit hesitant on that play because I know it will be very difficult for me to see the setup within an area like that. But it's also a possibility, but personally I don't think I'll take a trade like that. So I'll personally just want prices to pull back deeper so I can look for those buys. So when you look at this on the hourly time frame, it's just the same thing. There's so much noise on the hourly time frame, and this time frame is just for me to execute my trades on. So I'll stay on the daily time frame. I'll stay on the daily time frame on NAS100. So the daily time frame and the 8-hour time frame, for me, this is what makes sense. You have an impulse right here, you have a pullback thing, you have another move to the upside. You should expect prices to pull back, and you see a similar structure like this. So while waiting for this to happen, you can step down to lower time frame. So the time frame I'm paying attention to has to be the 8-hour time frame. So right here, this is what I'm paying attention to. So on the 8-hour time frame, again, you have this move right here, you have this pullback, you have this move. So you should expect prices to pull back. Now I'm going to show you something. So price might, so you see there's this move, there's this massive consolidation. Price might do something like this and give you, let's say, another complex structure, but eventually you should see the pullback and you take prices again to the upside. So everything that happens here might be like too much noise for you, and if you didn't get in around an area like this, just pause, like don't fight this trade right now. So if you're trying to buy aggressively around an area like this, you might get taken out because pullbacks might start coming in for price to move again to the upside. So pay attention to what price is showing you, pay attention to what structure you're looking at, and just stay patient. That's it. Stay patient and wait for prices to pull back so you can get the best setups. Alright, so that's it for me, I think, on NAS100. You could step down to like the hourly, but it's too much noise on the hourly. So when you look at this on the hourly, it's too much noise. So you have like massive consolidations here. There's a move here, there's another massive consolidation, and then price is moving to the upside. Look, there's massive consolidations. But when you look at this on higher time frames, let's say the 8-hour time frame, for example, it starts making sense. There's a move, that consolidation thing, there's a move, you could expect a consolidation, you wait for the next move. So that's what I'm looking at on NAS100. So I'm going to be very patient. So this is where price is going to test your patience, because how long can you sit on your hands and wait for prices to pull back, do its thing, and then give you another opportunity? So I think that's the most difficult thing, just sitting on your hands and waiting for price to do its thing, and then delivering to the next structure for you to look for trading opportunities. And I swing trade, so I'm expecting this pullbacks to take some time, and it might take a couple of days, it might take a week. If it takes a week just for this to play out, that's not a problem for me. I'm just going to sit on my hands. I won't touch NAS100. I'll wait for those prices to pull back. So that's it. Unless I see another structure within the place I'm looking at, then I'm going to trade it. All right, let's look at the S&P 500 real quick. Now this on the daily time frame is massive as well. So look at this. So here's the S&P 500. You have this move right here. You have this price coming back, and that's the swing. We're expecting prices to pull back. This is gonna take time, and because this is gonna take time, we can step down to like the 8-hour time frame and look at this. So on the 8-hour time frame on the S&P 500, we had our pivot point already. So this was a pivot point. I was expecting prices to really tap on this trend line for us to go in. But once you understand price structures and stuff like that, you can trade certain things. So it's the same thing. So price pulled back and we took those buys. So I had this buys on the S&P 500 as well. So now a quick question is, price went through 5,900. So let's edit this and switch the psychological level thing to like 60. So that's like 6,000. So price is currently at 6,000 on the S&P 500. So this is very important as well. Price went through 5,900 and price is at 6,000 right here. So if price finds it difficult to go through an area like this, the next possible area price can gravitate to has to be 5,900. If price goes through 5,900, the next area has to be 5,800. So once you start looking at price like this, I'm gonna zoom in. So look at this on the S&P 500. Look at this right here. Price went through this area. We currently sat around 6,000. So if price comes down, you get a test, the next area has to be 5,900. If sellers come in impulsively, you get another test, the next area has to be 5,800. We had the pivot point already so you see that those pivot points have been set already, and because we have this pivot point, there's a possibility for prices to pull back to an area like this. So you can take the buys again on the S&P 500. So on the daily time frame, like currently, there's nothing I can do. I had my trades in already from last week and stuff like that. That's done and dusted with. So looking at this right now, coming into next week, where is price most likely going to go to, and where is price most likely going to go to, and what levels can you pay attention to? So let's look at this. Price is most likely going to move, let's say, to the next psychological level. Here is 6,000. So the next level has to be 7,000 if price stays above 6,000. But if price falls below 6,000, then you could expect prices to move all the way to 5,900. And if it keeps selling, you expect prices to go all the way to 5,800. Wait for the reaction from the buyers, and you see prices moving to the upside. Now let's look at this on so there's the 8-hour time frame. So there's an 8-hour time frame, and this is the structure we're paying attention to. Move, pullback, move, pullback. There is a move, we're expecting a pullback as well. All right, so let's look at this on the 4-hour time frame right here. So on the 4-hour time frame, there's no trend line I'm really looking at right now, because normally you should expect a trend line within an area like this, and the trend line that plays out within an area like this this is just like an early indication. So if you had a trend line, so prices moving, giving you higher highs and higher lows, once you see a violation of that trend line, it's an indication that price is moving to lower levels like 5900. So looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, we had an impulse right here. Price is currently sat above 6000. If sellers, however, prove to be dominant around an area like 6000, you could see prices pulling back to like 5900 and even going lower to like 5800 for you to see buyers coming in. And the reason I'm saying this is because of what's happening on, say, the 8-hour time frame like this. So you could see this move and you see prices moving to the upside. So now that's very easy. So on the hourly time frame, which is very noisy, I'm not going to spend so much time on this because this is going to confuse you. Consolidation, 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 but overall price is just moving to the upside. So another time frame you could pay attention to is the 8-hour time frame coming into next week. If you don't have the 8-hour time frame, you can use the 4-hour time frame as well. It's the same thing, same structure we're looking at. Oh, sorry. So it's the same structure we're looking at, something like this. So if you don't have the 8-hour time frame, you can look at the 4-hour time frame, and that's the move right there. We're expecting prices to move again to the upside, and it's pretty easy. All you have to do is stay patient and wait for prices to pull back. So let's stay on the 8-hour time frame. So this is the move I'm looking at right here. This is impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. We're waiting for the correction for prices to move again to the upside. Now pay attention again to what's happening on the DXY, because on the DXY you have this impulse, correction, impulse. You should wait for something like this to play on the DXY. So once you have this in mind, it makes it easy. So I think we was on the S&P. So on the S&P, I'm expecting sales to come in. So now, while waiting for prices to pull back to an area like this, so another question I get a lot is, am I going to take sales from an area like this to take prices all the way to the downside? And my answer is no. So while price move to the upside like this, it's quite difficult for you to get sales like right now. You need to wait for prices to pull back. You get this consolidation, you see this hesitation from buyers to go past an area like this, you see sellers proving like this area, like they're proving really dominant around an area like this, then you can look for those sales. But currently, just pause. Like if you didn't take this trade, and if you're not in this trade like right now, just pause with your stuff, like the analysis and the anticipation or the trade. Just pause a little bit and wait for prices to pull back to an area where you're most comfortable taking the trades from. Alright guys, so that's it on the S&P 500. So let's look at, say, gold. Alright, now this is an interesting one. So we'll look at this from the daily time frame as well. Alright, cool. So let's look at this. So on the daily time frame, the trend line has been set already. I showed you guys. There's an impulse, correction, impulse. Trust me, gold is going to sell to an area like this. It's going to take time. Set these things on higher time frames, and then you move to lower time frames and look for structures you can play with. This is going to happen on the daily time frame. It's going to take time, but it's going to happen. It's bound to happen because it's there's certain structures in the market. Price respects. It keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. So at some point you have this impulse, correction. There's an impulse. You should wait for a correction. So once you start, like, everybody starts learning how to trade, and the thing you learn first is like uptrend. Price is making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. Price is going to respect the structure over time. It's going to make an impulse, giving you like a pullback thing. Impulse, pullback, impulse, pullback, impulse, pullback. So price is going to respect it. So you have an impulse, there's a pullback. There's an impulse, you should wait for a pullback. Price is going to respect it. So while waiting for price to respect it, let's look at lower time frame. So I have this on the 8-hour time frame and on the 8-hour time frame as well. So let's see, I have this structure on the 8-hour time frame. Impulse, correction, impulse. I'm expecting a correction as well on the 8-hour time frame. So price hasn't delivered to the 8-hour trend line, but we can look at certain things and start anticipating this move. So there's this level right here of 2700. So price came through 2700. We've had a test of 2700. So if price stays below 2700, the next level price has to go to has to be 2600. That's very easy. So the difficult thing is spotting your setup while price is trying to make its next move. So let's go down to lower time frames and I'll show you what I'm looking at on gold. So this is what I'm looking at right here. I think I have a trade currently running in on gold, so I might show you guys as well. Let's put this. So let's look at gold right here. So I took this sales like this morning, so I'm in on this sales on gold, and I had my entries right here. So I'm expecting prices to sell. Let's say so right now we'll start around 2700. So the next level has to be, say, 2600, an area like this, and that's what I'm looking at on gold. So let's go back to the charts right here. So we currently sat around 2700. Price came through, tested, and I'm expecting prices to pull back. So when you look at it, let's say from the big boys perspective, you've had this impulse right here, you have a correction, you have an impulse, and I'm waiting for another correction. So while waiting for the correction, you can look for structures to play with. So on the 8-hour time frame, we're currently sat below 2700. If price stays below this area of 2700, we could see prices pushing, let's say, to like 2600, and then you get a move like this to the upside. So price is it's always very complex, but that's what I'm looking at. So let's look at this on the 4-hour time frame. So currently I'm in on the sales on gold, but it might prove to be a little bit difficult because when you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, there's a trend line I was working with on the 4-hour time frame. So look at this play right here, and I'll show you. So you had this impulse thing, you had price pulling back, you had an impulse, you had price pulling back. So we had this pivot point on the 4-hour time frame, and right now, so when you look at this, so we had the buys from this area, and we had that inability around 2700. So this might just be a temporal pullback and for prices to continue moving to the upside. That's still very possible, but I have this sales in already because I'm expecting prices to pull back a little bit deeper. So normally I have my take profit thing or my target thing around 2600 because I went in on the sales here. So if we get sellers stepping in and they find it difficult to go through this trend line, then I'll cap my trades. So I might just close everything, and because now the buyers might step in and you see prices going again to the upside. So let's look at this. So we have this area right here, 2700. Price came through 2700. We had a test of this, pullback test again. So I'm expecting prices to sell just a little bit before buyers stepping in. Now if this doesn't happen, then price is going to take me out because my stop loss is a thing around an area like this, if I'm not mistaken, and I was looking for, I think, a 1:2 on this trade. So let's play this to lower time frames. So this is a 4-hour time frame. So there's a structure I have on the 4-hour time frame. If you look at this right here, there is a move, there's an impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse right here. So all of this right now is just an impulse thing. There's a correction right here. So this again is a pivot point, this is the pivot point, this is a pivot point on this time frame. So I'm expecting prices to move to the upside. But once I saw price moving from this pivot point to this psychological level and this inability, then I'm looking for those sells and maybe a continuation again to the upside, or price coming back and you see this movement. So let's look at this again on, say, the hourly time frame. I don't think there's a lot on the hourly time frame. So all right, cool. Now remember, on the hourly time frame, when you look at this, I had this impulse right here. There was a correction, we had an impulse, we had a correction right here, and on the hourly time frame I was expecting prices as well to move to the upside. We had this bridge, we had a test of this psychological level, another test of the psychological level, and I'm expecting prices to sell. So that's why you see I have this sales on gold right now, and I'm just gonna keep this sales all through the weekend and see how prices open next week. So if it plays out, good. If it doesn't play out, we'll rinse and repeat and we'll move and look for the next trading opportunity. So this is it, and that's why I tell you guys the hourly time frame is just for me to execute my trades. I'm not really trying to analyze on the hourly time frame, but if you stick, so we're just doing the market focus thing, there's no need for me doing a trade breakdown right now. So when you stick on this, what's the structure you're looking on the daily time frame? What psychological levels are you playing around? You have this massive move, this impulse, you're still expecting prices to pull back. On the daily time frame, this is going to take time. Step down to the 8-hour time frame. What structures are you looking at? On the 8-hour time frame, there's an impulse right here. You're still expecting prices to step down. So while waiting for this to happen, you can move, say, to the 4-hour time frame. Now there's something you can work with on the 4-hour time frame. So this is the structure I'm working with on the 4-hour time frame. So I was looking at NAS, the S&P and US30, and I was paying attention to the 8-hour time frame. But when you come to gold, the time frame I'm paying attention to is the 4-hour time frame and the hourly, and that's because this is what price is doing currently. There's a move, there's a pullback thing, yeah. There's a move, there's a pullback, there's a move, and price pulled back to this area right here. So we should normally expect prices to move all the way to the upside, yeah. But because we have this psychological level right here and price is testing an area like this, we might get temporary sells and then move again to the upside. Price might decide to just move again to the upside. So look at this structure, understand what price is doing. There's a pullback, understand what price is doing. So you should expect a pullback, you should expect another impulse. But while waiting for that, I'm looking for temporary sells on this, and then we see prices moving again to the upside. So that's how I'm trading gold right now, and I'm paying attention to what's happening on the DXY. So if you find that trade on gold, like if you find it difficult for the price to move, it's simply because of what's happening on the DXY. So if this guy finds it difficult to trade above 105 and you see sales coming in like this, then it makes it really difficult for these sales to take place on gold. So I'm going to pay attention to this as well, and I'm going to watch this. So I think I've shown you guys already the stuff on DXY, S&P, US30 and gold. So let's take this again real quick. So what I'm looking at on that's the S&P. So on the DXY, real quick, long term we're expecting prices to move to 106. Temporarily I'm expecting the pullback to come in and for prices to move like this. On the S&P, I'm going to stick on the 8-hour time frame, and that's because I have a structure I can play with on the 8-hour time frame right here, and I'm expecting this pullback. So that's what I'm expecting on the S&P. Now let's look at NAS as well. Same thing, we have a structure thing we can play with. There's a pullback, massive move. I'm expecting a move like this and to see prices moving to the upside. Now on US30 as well, 8-hour time frame again. So this is what we have on the 8-hour time frame. There's this move, pullback, move right here. There's a pullback. We have a move as well, expecting a pullback for us to see prices moving again to the upside. So that's it. And on gold right now, I'm going to pay attention to what's happening on the 4-hour time frame. So you had this impulse correction, and price normally should take off from here and give you another impulsive move. But because we're facing this difficulty around this area, I just want to see some temporary sells and then maybe price moving to the upside, or you get price pulling back and you see price moving like this to the upside. So long term, if you're looking at gold on the 4-hour time frame, it's still for you to see prices moving to the upside. But there's a high possibility if the sellers step in, you might get a violation of this 4-hour trend line. So that's what I'm looking at on all of these pairs, and I hope you have a good trading week. Make sure you watch the video I did on trading during the US election thing. You'll see the trades I took on NAS100. You'll see the trades I took on NAS100, these buys. You see my thought process as well, and you see the same trades I took on, I think, you see the trades I took on the S&P as well. So watch the next video just for you to get an understanding of how I traded during the US election thing, and you can pick some stuff from there and it's going to help you as well. So see you guys during the next one. Bye for now.